Good morning. Good morning. Awesome. That's awesome. My name is Reverend Jim Ernst. You are at Unity of Charlotte, and we welcome you here. If you're here in the chapel, we welcome you. If you're on Zoom, welcome on Zoom. How many folks we have on Zoom here? We have 2 so far, and we know that there's going to be more later on. If you're watching this on YouTube later on in the week or in the month or in the year, we welcome you to that as well. So those are the different ways that you can see this service that we have. There are different ways to know what's going on at Unity of Charlotte. We have a website, we have a newsletter, we have Facebook, we have YouTube, Instagram, Blue Sky, and the old-fashioned, old-school bulletin board in the hallway. So if you're not a social media person, let's take a breath and move into prayer at this time. I invite you to make yourself comfortable, take a breath, close your eyes if that feels right. As we move from our head down into our heart, we take this moment to move within. We're so grateful for the chance to be here together as a community, as we gently shift from our thinking to our feeling nature. We notice our heart space, and we allow that to expand in this moment of awareness. I open myself up to the reality that this humanity is not my limitation. And I invite my mind and heart to recognize that and that realization that I am, in fact, divine. I rise into that realization that every aspect of my being, physical, mental, emotional, and especially spiritual, is divine. Once again, we are grateful for this chance to come together, for this space that we share. And together we say, Amen. Please join me in our unity prayer of oneness. So out loud. There is one presence and one power in my life and universe. God, the good, omnipotence. And at this point, I would like to invite up Fred, who is going to do our daily word.
The daily word is courage. I'm not scared. I have a strong heart in body, mind, and soul. God within me is the source of my courage. Worrisome and challenging events may leave me thinking I don't have the courage to face them. What I'm going through may feel like too much to bear. Then I remind myself that as a divine being, I have all the courage I could ever need. How I view myself has a strong bearing on how I handle myself. I affirm that God within is my power to rise above. I feel courageous, empowered, and strong. With the presence and power of God within me, I realize that I am never alone, and I need not fear. This is the source of my courage. The scripture, I hereby command you, be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Joshua 1.
Freedom. So, freedom is the theme we've been following through this month, growing through freedom. Growing is our yearly theme, but each month we're taking a particular way that we grow. And this month we're focused on freedom. So I started thinking about this, and what came to me was a memory. So how many of you learned to ride bikes when you were a kid? That's most of you, good. So you remember like when you're like really young and you first start on a tricycle and you get on that tricycle and you learn how to ride it, and it's like, oh, I'm free. I can go wherever I want, whenever I want. And you pedal, 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 and you look up and you're probably at the end of your driveway. Then you grow up a little older, your legs get longer, and you learn how to ride a two-wheeler, right? Now you're on the two-wheeler. And it's like, oh, I'm really free now. I can go wherever I want, whenever I want. And it's usually back and forth to school, to a friend's house, but it's a new level of experience of freedom. And what comes after the two-wheel bike? A car. Do you remember? Now, I know most of you here have learned how to drive a car. So once again, you get in a car, and now it's like, oh yeah, I'm so free. I can go wherever I want, whenever I want. And then I remember moving out of my parents' house into my own place. And that was like the next level of, oh, I can do whatever I want, whenever I want to. And that's culturally the idea we have about freedom. To do whatever we want, whenever we want. It's a very individualistic sense of freedom, which is very common to the Western culture. In Eastern cultures, generally, there's a little bit of a different perspective of community. But in our culture, the idea of freedom really has a lot to do with, I get to do whatever I want. I don't have someone holding me back. I have no restraints. And we think it's going to be freedom, that we're somehow going to escape the boundaries, the consequences, and the responsibilities of when we didn't have this level of freedom. But what really happens at each level, we grow and we gain a greater, more expanded sense of freedom. We actually have more boundaries, more responsibilities, and more consequences to be aware of, that we grow into. So what happens is that has a tendency to then lead us to a sense of, well, after all that, I'm still not free. And what can follow is blame. Who am I going to blame for not feeling free? I'm going to start blaming others for my lack of freedom. I might start blaming the situations I'm in. I might blame the government. I might blame the world. I might just blame life generally. And certainly there's times when we blame God for the fact I don't have the freedom I thought I would have. But today we're going to look at the idea of something very different. We're going to look at it from a unity perspective. And from a unity perspective, freedom is spiritual flow. Freedom is spiritual flow, and spiritual flow is divine order. So that's what we're going to dive into a little bit more today. And let's start by looking at what is divine order. When we talk about divine order, what do we mean? Because there's a tendency, and whenever we talk about this in small groups, the question always comes up about predestination. Does that mean that I'm born and my life is going to play out this way? It's already been predestined. And I will say, no, that's not what we believe. Instead, order, it's not a rigid destiny. It is an intelligent, creative rhythm of life that's aligned with our spiritual truth. It's a creative, intelligent rhythm of life that's aligned with our spiritual truth. It means everything moves from source, God, divine mind, principle. Everything moves from this source out into manifestation in a very specific order. But we have a tendency to think that order's out here. And we've talked about that before, but we're going to be looking within. Let's begin with Charles Fillmore. This is from his 12 Powers of Man book, where he talks about the 12 powers, which are just the 12 attributes of our divine whole nature. And it just helps us to understand how we express our divine nature in this world. He talks about divine order, saying this is the first law of the universe. So every other spiritual law, and when I say spiritual law, I'm talking about a law that's universal, unbreakable, unchangeable, immutable. These are not the laws of man. These are the laws of the universe. It's how the universe works. It's how our idea of God works. So he says, this is the first law of the universe, because without order, there'd be no universe. There'd be no system. There'd be no cosmos. But then he goes on to say, freedom comes when we willingly align with this divine law. That's where our true freedom lies. So first of all, we have to know there is this universal law of order that functions at the invisible realm of existence, but comes forward because everything in creation starts there. So some of the most natural examples to give you are in nature, right? Because nature just follows a divine order. A seed begins to sprout and it grows and then it becomes a tree. It doesn't go from a seed to a tree. There's an order in which that life progresses and expands and grows. We have seasons that one follows the other, and it all plays a role in a greater system of wholeness. It shows us, and this is why I often talk about nature. If you've been around me enough, you know I'm an avid tree hugger. And nature is my place to reconnect to God because I feel a sense of divine order and harmony when I'm in nature. That's just for me a way of reconnecting to that harmony of the divine nature within myself. The spiritual paradox is that we actually gain freedom when we let go of control. We gain freedom when we let go of control. Think about that. But wait a minute. If I let go of control, what's going to happen? Right? Our sense of control is always because we have forgotten about divine order. We have forgotten that life is unfolding in this beautiful, magnificent, ordered way. And I'm a part of that life. So control is usually the place we head to. So this is from Myrtle Fillmore. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore are our co-founders of the Unity Movement. And Myrtle says this: we do not become free by ignoring order, but by working with it. As we cooperate with the divine rhythm of life, we are lifted into true liberty. So we learn to, I'm not even going to say learn, we remember, because this is actually our true nature. Our true nature moves with this intelligent rhythm of cycle of life. We're a whole part of that cycle. When we forget, we begin to try to create our own sense of order. But because it's not aligned with our divine law, what happens? We don't feel free. We don't feel free. We feel a sense of lack and fear. And then we start protecting ourselves by what? Controlling. We control whatever we can. But ultimately, the only thing we have control over is our choices. What we choose to think, to believe, and to act on. So I have this story from the Bible. This is the story of Joseph, not the father of Jesus, but Joseph, who was the son of Israel from the Hebrew scriptures. And he was a late in life child. So he had several elder brothers that were quite a bit older than him, who were very jealous of him because Israel loved him more than these other brothers. It was his favorite. And they felt that, and they were jealous, and they often plotted on how to get rid of Joseph. And finally, they had an opportunity to do that. They were traveling, and they were actually plotting to kill him, but they decided that might be a bit too much. We're going to have blood on our hands. Maybe we won't do that. We will sell him into slavery. So they sold him into slavery to a master who took him home. But this master, the thing about Joseph, and probably why he was Israel's favorite, is he had the spiritual gift of interpreting dreams. This was his spiritual gift. But it's also to say, and often it says throughout, that when people saw Joseph, they saw Jehovah in him. Jehovah being one of the words for God. They saw some spiritual light in him. And he used this spiritual gift, which was his connection to the divine. So he had this connection already. So here he is. He gets sold into slavery. He's taken home to this gentleman's home. And this man's watching him, and he sees something special in Joseph. So he begins to teach him and to trust him and to move him up into positions until finally he's the head of the household. Why? Because Joseph isn't sitting there complaining and despairing. He's not angry. He's in the situation he's in. He got sold into slavery by his brothers. His happy home life gone. This is where he is. What does he do with it? He turns into spirit, walking with the Spirit, talking with the Spirit. He turns in and lives from that place, regardless of the situation he found himself in. Now, as the head of the household, the master was out, and the wife took a little shining to Joseph and decided she wanted to have her way with him, which he refused, being a man of honor. But this made her very angry, and so she made up some charges against him, which led him to being thrown into jail in Egypt. So now he's in prison. And what does he do? Does he lay in despair? Does he complain? Is he angry? Is he plotting revenge? He starts interpreting dreams for people. He becomes a light of divinity in the middle of the prison. And the guards start noticing it, and they start coming to him, and they start talking. Pretty soon the news gets to the Pharaoh. And as time goes by, he ends up becoming one of the Pharaoh's most trusted aides. And he has one of the highest ranks in the Pharaoh's household. The best part of this story is at some point, there's so much in the story, and I'm really condensing it down just to give you the gist of an example of someone who is living with the trust in spirit, regardless of the situation they find themselves in, that they didn't choose. There's a famine in the lands outside of Egypt. Egypt is a place of abundance, and they have stored up food knowing this famine was coming. Joseph's brothers have to go to Egypt to ask for food to bring back to their families. And guess who they have to ask from? They didn't know this. They did not know any of this had happened to Joseph. They sold him off, and that was it. So they, of course, when they recognize who he is, they're on their knees begging for mercy. And what Joseph says, and this is my favorite part. I'm paraphrasing a little bit here for you Bible scholars. He says, what you meant for evil, God meant for good. Or what you meant for harm, God meant for good. Meaning that he lived his life from knowing that regardless of what the situation is he finds himself in, if he stays attuned to his true divine guidance in nature, good will come out of it. So, we might ask ourselves then, where am I trying to control what Spirit is asking me to trust? And I can tell you, I can look out in this world and give you a lot of scenarios that I wish I had control over, and I know that I don't. And I still flip-flop between despair of feeling like even if I do what I do, it's not going to have any impact, and these things are going to happen, to know turning within, like our song said, turn within, plug in to your divine nature, to your spiritual essence, to the guidance that has and knows a much bigger picture than the one we see in front of us. And then we trust and have faith. Let's look really quickly at some of the obstacles. My favorite line, I almost forgot it. That's why I put it on a slide. True freedom isn't getting our way, it's trusting the way. I sat with this for a while and thought, oh, that's good. It's not getting my way, it's trusting there is a way that is part of the divine flow of life. And I choose that. I choose that. Now, let's look at some of the obstacles to flow. Fear of the unknown. Anyone resonate with that one? Fear of the unknown can often make us want to shut down. And what do? We start wanting to control things so that what might happen won't happen. Attachment to outcomes. Attachment to outcomes. That's not to say that we're not going to envision our future and have goals that we set out, but we don't have to stay attached to them. They move us in the direction, and if it's in the flow of life, it will keep moving us towards there. But life often knows we need to go in other directions. And if we stay attuned and we keep listening, then we keep moving with that guidance and that flow and say, well, I thought it was going to be this, but now maybe it's going to be that. Oh, maybe that's even better. But it takes a willingness to not be attached. And this is the one I relate so well to. Reverend Jim can attest to that. Impatience. Because, we always want it now. I mean, let's face it, we're in a culture that teaches us. I want it now. Instant gratification. The only thing you can get now is the present moment exactly as it is. That's a good now to want. But often we want something that we think isn't there to show up now. And we can get very impatient. All of these things tend to be, and I'm sure there's more, but these were the three I thought of that block us from feeling and knowing freedom in the flow of life and moving us through life in a way that has a sense of liberation beyond what we can get from just controlling our externals. So now let's take a look at how do we deal with these? How do we open that gateway to flow? Practice gratitude even in uncertainty. Maybe it should say especially in uncertainty. Especially when I'm feeling uncertain, I can shift my mindset back to flow if I just remember, wow, what do I have to be grateful for? Because always there's something. And even if there's nothing in our outer circumstances, we turn within. For me, it's often knowing this, knowing that life is this intelligent, creative rhythm of flow that I can turn to. I'm grateful that I know about that. Gratitude opens us up to flow. We'll just leave it up there. Affirmations of trust. Affirmations of faith. Affirmations are the biggest tool at Unity that we use that's often quite different from other traditional churches because we believe God is always present, always fully giving, always in full gear. We are the ones that have to remember to plug in. So we are affirming the truth, these universal truths that we learn through the spiritual principles we teach at Unity, which, by the way, we call them universal principles because you can.
So at this point, I invite our president, our board president, to come up as well. Hello.
Thank you. Well, welcome everyone to our first. Alan's always so great telling me. I'm not sure this is mine.
All right. Can you hear me? Is it up?
Or you can hold it.
That's okay. Usually I'm pretty loud, so. Anyway, welcome everyone to the first community gathering here
Yay.
today, where we're going to have lots of fun and sharing. And so I'd like to start this off with our board members coming up to the front here and the reverends. And we're going to start this off with a fun little song we have for
You
you.
wanna sing back here or
I
up
don't
here?
know. How do you want to sing this, my friends? It's all good.
Do you want to move that back?
Yeah, we're okay. Move it back? Okay, watch out, Barb. There we go.
Don't run out after this sound.
All right, here we go.
This little light of ours, we're gonna let it shine a little bit faster. This little board of ours, we're gonna let it shine. Join with us. This little board of ours, we're gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Verse 2, we hold the vision clear. We're gonna let it shine. We lead with love, not fear. We're gonna let it shine. We serve with joy and cheer. We're gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Verse 3, through every boardroom prayer, we're gonna let it shine. With spirit always there, we're gonna let it shine. For unity we care. We're gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. One more. From potlucks to finance, we're gonna let it shine. With budgets and with dance, we're gonna let it shine. When all do we pray, we're gonna let it shine. Big finish. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Woo!
Hi, everyone. So if you all don't know who I am, my name is Beth Dewey, and it's been an honor to be, I'm newly on the board of Unity of Charlotte, and I'm loving sharing my gifts and my time and my talents. And I would like to actually just, where's the next slide? Are you working it? Okay, is there another slide? Okay, sorry. Thought there was another slide. But some of the board members you saw here, we actually have 8 total, including the 2 ministers, and 2 of them, Lawrence and Martin, could not be here today, but they're here in spirit. We always feel their love and presence, and we're so blessed to have them. Well, our board's been pretty busy, I'll have you know, and we are always having a lot of fun and joy on the board. We are been working on board training for the last 6 months now. And also we're working on a 3 to 5 year plan, a strategy plan for expansion as we loving and we're growing and we're serving the community. And we're so, so grateful for all the teams that we have here at Charlotte to help us thrive. And they are the prayer team. Just want a big shout out for them. The Sunday service team, the greeters, the ushers, the daily words. Of course, Fred singing the prayer song, just didn't want to, he has his own little team there. The spiritual social action team, the hospitality team, and the tech and the website team. All right, so just want to say we're so, so grateful for all that. And right now, we'll just invite the ministers up because they're next to. There you are, good job. This is to keep you in the room for just a minute longer.
This is to keep you focused.
Yeah.
So we're just going to play a little game, because usually we tell you everything we did in the last 6 months or so, but now we're going to ask you what you remember we did. Do you remember? Can you? So we have several ongoing groups. Can anybody name one of our ongoing groups that meet our ministries? Yes, give her a piece of candy. That falls under ministries, but we're going to take that. Anybody else? We have groups that meet like twice a month, and theology. That lady wins a candy. All right. What else besides pub theology? Course in Miracles group. We absolutely have two of them. One's online, and one of them. What? Book club. Yes. We're going to. Okay. All right. I know there's some things you remember we have. Let's see. How about, let's expand it. What workshops or events have we had any you can remember? Vision boarding, indeed. Elevator speech. All right. Any others? What's that? Oh, yes, indeed. Yep. That was the burning bowl and letter writing ceremony. Excellent. We have a couple of other special services we do. What are they? White stone ceremony, letting go, getting a new member class. Yes. There you go. Oh my God. You guys okay, we did some community outreach projects. At Christmas time in the winter, does anyone remember what we did? With St. We didn't do any caroling. Yeah. You heard us singing up here, right? Yeah. Oh, the Christmas store yeah. We helped St. Luke's out with something. Room at the inn. Thank you.
Oh, no. I don't know if I could read.
All right. So we're going to wrap this up. Name just one more thing you can think of that we have done over.
Anything.
We did a radical forgiveness workshop. Yes, we did. All right. Thank you so much for participating.
We did support.
Yes, that was one of our community outreach. Thank you, Beth and Sean, for that get through. So thank you all for participating. We just like to take a moment to remember all the things we are doing here at Unity, because sometimes we forget how much is actually happening here and how alive and vibrant this ministry is. So thank you for participating. Candy will be available in the break room when you're done.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm sure we're even missing some because this has been an incredible year. So now we'd like to, further ado, bring our treasurer up here, our board, to discuss some stuff.
Hi, I'm Barb Cunningham, and I'm really the board secretary, and I'm the interim treasurer with mostly the help of lots of people, Reverend Jim, the whole board. We have a finance team that consists of Beth, the reverends, and Alan Batten and myself, as well as the board. We take a great allegiance to looking at our finances to make sure we're not spending things that cost more than they should or when we should spend them. And it's through a lot of prayer and thought. But the good news is, in the bank now, we have $334,000. It's a blessing and provides us stability. That money came from the sale of our building that we had on Arrowwood, if anybody's familiar with when we had Unity on Arrowwood. And it is a blessing that has kept us alive. Yes, it's a blessing that has kept us alive through the pandemic and kind of like starting anew with all of you here now too. And our monthly expenses stay very steady at about $12,000 a month. And again, this is reviewed. Reverend Jim and our bookkeeper that's in Florida and Dagmar, they go over everything that is spent and brought in and align in making sure it's correct, as well as the finance team. And we have a really well-managed church when it comes to spending. We're very proud of that and keep it very level. Click. Okay, this is the challenge we have. Our monthly income has dropped compared to last year from January to June, looking at 2004 and 2025 now. We've dropped $1,000 a month. We average about $5,500 a month in income. And we, as a board, and many members and other teams, and the reverends especially, are working very hard to, our goal is to break even. That is our goal, and we're moving towards that. We're a much better place than we've been in the past years. We are moving in the right direction, but we still have a lot to move. With our marketing team and that media specialist that's working with us and everybody's help, we will get there. Hang in there with us. Let's keep loving, serving, and growing.
Appreciate this. Appreciate you, Barb, for all your hard work, and Jim and the finance committee back there, and our tech guru too back there. So I just want to do an affirmation to leave us today. And I just want to affirm the abundance, the faith, and divine order together, and know that we have the power to grow, right? Grow our financial flow, right? Through giving, not only our treasure, our talent, and our time, right? And to invite, you can even invite more people into our community, and we can engage in creative leadership, and we can reunite our shared commitment to this community. Well, thank you all for coming to our first one and bearing with us with our song that we didn't even practice. So good job, and thanks for the encouragement and the love. Oh, yes, I've just been reminded. If there's any, does anybody have any questions to ask us, or? Okay, well, that's okay. We'll be available at the Unity Cafe right now, so come join us over there for some goodies, some coffee, and actually connect with any of the board members you'd like to discuss things with. We love your input and your thoughts, and of course, all your support. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.